We see that at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in it's like Robert, don't even come outside today. It's like go on and just stay home and that sun that rose from the west. Forget it, Yeah, it's over.
I was looking at a thing last night. Something on the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it was talking about when he was born. It was some stuff that I never heard about him. I never knew that all different types of stuff started happening when he was born.
A lot of that stuff is not authentic, so.
No. Yeah, they say that.
I've only read that stuff in books of Sirah. I've not read any of that stuff in actual books of Hadith.
I didn't read it in no book. It was on TV.
That's even worse.
That's worse.
Yeah, that's even worse.
Yeah, because they say that the skies changed, and the trees was different.
Well, I tell them bring one authentic narration for any of that stuff.
Huh?
Tell them to bring one authentic narration for all that, What was the greatest thing, his birth or his death? When he died, on the revelation, everything's cut off. So why didn't any of that stuff happen when he died? Well, it was just a normal day, right? Did nobody said, oh my God, the sky turned green and the birds fell out the trees and, no. So come on. Like this stuff is just because I don't know who included a lot of this stuff into a lot of these stories.
Birds start carrying stones and dropping them down on people.
I mean, I'm saying that happened, but not in that was the field, sort of the field. And some of the people say that he was born in that year, but not during that event. Some of the people say that was the year that he was born. Allahu Alam, Nobody, none of that stuff is authentic. There's no, and because, look, if it was important for us to know this stuff, we would have been told this. And it would have been, you read it in Bukhari, you read it in Muslim. So the thing is that you see a lot of people, they spend so much time trying to find out this information. There's no change. Like, if we know this information, we don't know this information. Like, for example, you get people, this is from the ulama from before, this is not like regular people. What color was the dog of the people in the cave? And it's like, who cares what color dog he was? Who cares what type of dog he was? Who cares? That's not what you should be benefiting from the story. You understand? So when you're going and you're seeing these stories, and the same thing from the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you benefit the knowledge. What happened? Did the sky change when he was born? Did this happen? Look, if that was important, we'd have enough hadith telling us, that's authentic. We wouldn't have to read this only in books of Sirah. Like I said, go through Bukhari and Muslim to see if you read any of this stuff, Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's a long time. People, they just waste time with stuff that, in the end, the benefit of it, if there is any benefit, it's very, very little. All right, you ready? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. Qala al-Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah ta'ala, Bab bir al-walid al-mushrik. Right? All right, so bir al-walid al-mushrik. So this is now talking about being righteous to a father who is mushrik, or any type of kafir for that matter, because mushrik.
That's a kafir?
That's a polytheist, a person who commits shirk.
A polytheist, an agnostic?
No, it's a person who worships other than Allah.
Oh, okay.
Like Christians, they're mushrikun. Yes, they worship Jesus. Who is Jesus? No, nobody knows. Jesus is a made-up person.
Oh.
There's no person that existed named Jesus in Palestine throughout the whole history. It's not even a name. It's not even a real name. Muslim. It's made up of a Greek root and a Latin root. It's mostly Greek. So the point is that there's no person ever existed with that name.
It was just Isa?
Isa alayhi salam. Yeah. They don't even know his real name because they changed the book so much they don't even know what he's called. Yeah. So Bab bir al-walid al-mushrik. So this is like showing righteousness to a father who is a mushrik. حدثنا محمد بن يوسف قال حدثنا إسرائيل هو ابن يونس قال حدثنا السماك, and السماك هو ابن حرب, and Mus'ab ibn Sa'id عن أبيه سعيد ibn Abi Waqqas رضي الله عنه قال, oh Sa'd, why am I? It's that time of day, man. Shoo. Ready to go to sleep. All right, yeah. عن مصعب بن سعد أن أبيه سعد بن أبي وقاص رضي الله عنه قال نزلت في 4 آيات من كتاب الله تعالى. So he said four ayat from the Quran. They were revealed because of me. And this is what he's saying. All right, he said كانت أمي حلفت أن لا تأكل ولا تشرب حتى أفارق محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. So he said that my mother, she swore an oath that she would not eat and she would not drink until I left off Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then other narrations that he left off the religion, that he left the deen. So his mother refused to eat and drink until he left the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فأنزل الله عز وجل وإن جداك على أن تشرك بما ليس لك به علم فلا تطعهما وصاحبهما في الدنيا معروفا. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down the ayah, and even if they were to, when jahadak, if they were to fight against you, and to commit shirk, billah, ma laysa laka bihi ilm, for something that you don't have knowledge of course, every form of shirk, laysa laka bihi ilm, because there's no shirk is authentic, all right? There's no ilm for any form of shirk. So that means all forms of shirk, any type of shirk, if they try to force you to do this and fight against you to do this, and he said, فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا, then at this point, then what? Don't obey them, but don't obey them in what? In this. Yeah, and anything, and this and anything else that's haram. But the rest of the obedience is still, still obligatory. وَصَاحِبْهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيا مَعْرُوفًا, and accompany them and be like a companion for them, and be righteous to them. And if it's ma'ruf, to fulfill all of the duties that you're supposed to fulfill to them based on the urf and what's expected of you. All right, from the deen and even from the culture, the things that don't go against the deen. All right, so that was the first ayat that was sent down, and of course his mother, she didn't eat, she didn't drink for 3 days. فغشي عليها, and then she fainted and passed out. Then one of her sons came, started feeding her and giving her something to drink, and then she started eating and drinking, and then she started making dua on Sa'd. Now we know that the dua of the walidain against their son or their daughter is what? Is accepted. So what about this now?
Not accepted in full.
Yeah, because this is a dua fi ghayri mahallihi. This dua is not in its proper place. She is making dua against Sa'd because he didn't obey her in what? In shirk, in worshiping something other than Allah. And so this dua is not going to be answered, inshallah. Obviously, because that dua is dhulm, But that's what she started doing. She started making dua against them. وَثَانِيَ إِنِّي كُنْتُ أَخَذْتُ سَيْفًا أَعْجَبَنِي فَقُلْتُ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ هَبْ لِي هَذَا فَنَزَلَتْ يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنَ الْأَنْفَالِ. So the second thing was that he saw when they had finished with a battle, and they were getting all the stuff, like the war booty, and then he saw a sword that amazed him. He's like, I want that sword. So he went to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, gift this to me, give me this as a gift. And then this is when the ayah of Surah Al-Anfal, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنَ الْأَنْفَالِ قُلِ الْأَنْفَالُ لِلَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ. So that means that what? After this ayah was sent down, what changed?
The ruling of war booty.
Well, the war booty can only be distributed. Like a person can't just see something and say, oh, I want this, give this to me. That it's got to go to the wali al-amr, whoever the person of authority is, and then the person of authority will distribute it amongst the people based on what they did and how they where they were in the battle, or what they because obviously you got the person who rides on a horse, and the person who's got arrow shoots a sword, and another person who's fighting on the ground and he's fighting with a sword. So different people get different things. But what about if you kill a soldier? Like in the battle now, I'm not talking about walking out in the street doing it, but I'm saying on the battlefield, like you killed this soldier and you know that you killed him. What?
You don't get no.
No, for like a salabahu. Salabahu, it means that you could take whatever is
Oh,
on
take
his
this.
person.
Whatever he used to own.
Yeah. So like for example, if he has bullets and all that, that you can take his gun, take his bullets.
All the
Yeah, But as far as the actual war booty, when you take over the town and the place where the kuffar are, then no, all of that goes to the wali al-amr, whoever it is, an authority of the army, and then he distributes it amongst the people.
question regarding this. So, like in Yemen, like in Dammaj, or anywhere in Yemen, if I'm like traveling, a Houthi comes, and it's just me and him, and I kill him, and he has a gun. Is it halal for me to take his gun?
You just like in a regular fight.
Like he comes to me and he has obviously the intention to kill me. He's like, oh, like I'm gonna kill you, but I kill him first. Is it halal for me to take his gun?
I would take his gun to get it out of the hands of them, even if you were to destroy it, but not to leave the gun so then all his companions come and get the gun and end up killing Muslims with it. They're kuffar, so khalas, as far as that's concerned, I just take it. And then take it and go to a sheikh and ask what you should do with it.
With his guards, would probably shoot me.
I'm just saying, but if that's if you have the ability to do that, because you don't want to leave any of the guns, because it's not permissible to leave those guns with the people that are going to use the guns and kill the Muslims with it. So it's not permissible even to sell them guns. If you're a gun dealer and you know that these people are going to use the guns to kill Muslims with it, it's not permissible for you to sell the guns to them. So Allah musta'an. All right, then he said, وَالثَّالِثَ إني مرضت فأتاني رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقلت يا رسول الله إني أريد أن أقسم مالي فأوصي بالنصف فأوصي بالنصف sorry فقال لا فقلت الثلث. And this is where the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said وثلث الكثير فسكت فكان الثلث بعده جائزا. And then that became, all right, so here he said that he was very sick and he was afraid that he might die, right? So he went to the messenger. He said, "Oh, Messenger of Allah, I want to distribute my money," but he wanted to leave it in a will, because you have inheritance. The inheritance is for people in your family that inherit from you, but then you can also leave in a will for other people to get money. So he was, but this hadith shows the how much you are allowed to leave. So he said he wanted to leave shatr malihi, which is half of his money. But he prohibited him from doing that. And he said, then for thuluth, he said, for thuluth, وثلث kathir. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he said, and تترك ذريتك أغنياء خير لك من أن تتركهم فقراء يتكففون الناس يسألون الناس. He said, if you were to leave all the money, to leave your family in a state of, richness, like where they have money, it's better for you than to, to donate your money away, leave them poor, and then they're running around begging from the people. So, but the thuluth is the highest amount. 1/3 of the money is the highest amount what a person can leave in a wasiyah outside of his family. The rest, the other 2/3, they go to his family. All right, but it's better to do what? No, I mean it's better to do less if you're going to give a wasiyah for somebody outside of the family, less than 1/3, because the Prophet ﷺ said, وَثُلُث kathir. He said 1/3, and 1/3 is a lot to give to other than your family. So, it's better for the person to do less than that, give less than that, 1/8 or something, something, give some money because you want charity. It's a sadaqatun jariyah if you're doing it and something that's good. For, masajid, talib al-ilm, for people seeking knowledge, but don't go over 1/3, and even 1/3 is a lot. So what was the ayat that was revealed for this? That's for the mirath, that's not for the wasiyah. What's the ayah of the wasiyah? No, كتب عليكم إذا حضر أحدكم الموت وإيش إن حضر أحدكم الموت وإن ترك خيرا الوصية للوالدين والأقربين بالمعروف حقا على المتقين. Right. So here, but this ayat doesn't mention anything about what? No, about the thuluth or khumus or nisf or anything. It just mentions the wasiyah in general. The actual thuluth about that came in the hadith, but the ayat itself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Kutiba alaykum. You know, it was written for you, إِذَا حَضَرَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتِ if death comes to one of you, and taraka khayran al-wasiyah. If he wants to leave good behind, if he wants to leave something, a charity behind for the people, that he writes it in what? Al-wasiyah. All right. But here it says, لِلْوَالِدَيْنِ وَالْأَقْرَبِينَ بِالْمَعْرُوف. So is the wasiyah for the walidain wal aqrabin?
Yeah. Yes.
Anybody that inherits, because the Prophet ﷺ said in the last part of, he said what? قال أعطي كل ذي حق حقه فلا وصية للوارث. All right. So each person who is deserving of money is given his what? His share, his fair share. فلا وصية للإيش؟ للوارث. So no, the warith does not. You're not allowed to write a wasiyah for the warith. For anybody that yarithu mink. But you can, like, for example, like your cousins, people like that, people in your family who don't, that are not going to inherit from you, you can put them in a wasiyah. But anybody that's going to be a part of the inheritance, no, it's not permissible. What?
الشخص يسأل إيش هذا؟
إيش أنا إيش؟
الحديث عن إيش يعني إيش تكلم عنه الآن؟
I was talking about the being righteous to a father who's not a Muslim. All right, then he said, what? الرابعة إني شربت الخمر مع قوم من الأنصار فضرب رجل منهم أنفي باللحي جمل فأتيت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فأنزل الله عز وجل تحريم الخمر. So he said in the fourth one, he said that I drank alcohol with a group of people from the Ansar. This was at the time when alcohol was still what? It's still jazz, but it was at that stage of what? Because it went through different stages. All right, there was one point permissible, then the second stage what? لا تأتوا الصلاة وأنتم سكارى. So then it became a prohibition to drink and then come to the salat. All right, and then what? And then it became the prohibition. So he said that he was drinking alcohol with a person, with a group of people from the Ansar, and one of the guys, he got drunk, and he stood up and he hit me in my. He said, وَضَرَبَ رَجُلٌ مِّنْهُمْ أنفي. He said he hit me in my nose. بِاللَّحِي الْجَمَلِ. And بِاللَّحِي الْجَمَلِ, this is the place that this happened. All right, Lahi al-Jamal is a place. It's on the Tariq ila Mecca from Medina. All right, from Medina to Mecca, we're going in that path. This is a place that's going to Mecca. This is the name of a place. So Bilahi Jamal, this is the name of a place. B is the harf jar. That's where it happened. فأتيت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. So I went to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. فأنزل الله عز وجل تحريم الخمر. And what was the ayah? All right, so يا أيها الذين آمنوا إنما الخمر. We know what khamr is. Khamr is what?
Well, it translates to wine, but any intoxication.
Anything that يخامر الذهن, that intoxicates and changes the mind and the function of the mind. Anything, no matter what that is, whether it's pills, whether it's alcohol, whether it's weed or drugs or anything. All right. Wal maysir. What is maysir?
Gambling.
Yeah, gambling. All right. Wal ansab.
That's the only one I don't.
It's lawthan, what the people worship. So you got alcohol, gambling, idols, worshiping the idols. Wal azlam.
Adab is in it, like during the time of Jahiliyyah, they would have like 2 arrows.
Or they would have a bunch of arrows, and they would write on them what? If'al, la taf'al. And they put them into a bag, like a wi'a, and the smaller arrows. And what do? If they want to do something, they just go in and they grab out an arrow,
Whatever.
and whatever it says, if it says, if I'll do it, he'll do it. If it says, la taf'al, don't do it, then he won't do it. Based on whatever arrow he pulls out of the bag. Kind of like the magic 8 ball or some stupid thing like that.
Oh yeah.
Should I go to the store, magic 8 ball?
Isn't it similar like when the shabab when they play basketball and they say shoot for ball? Like if the ball makes it, we start off. But if the ball doesn't make it, you start off.
No.
That's not
No.
jais.
No, because he's putting his trust in those arrows and the fact of whether or not he should even go out. What you're talking about is just like, shooting for who's going to start first. Yeah, that's not even, no, because that has nothing to do with any type of tawakkul or aqidah, Here he's putting his trust in those arrows. Like he's literally, if those arrows come up and say, la taf'al, he's not going to do it because of what that arrow said, Like that arrow knows the future and knows what's going to happen. And, so no, that's a whole different thing. What he's doing is a form of shirk. So wal Islam, and then he said what? Rijis. And what is
called Aslam?
al-Islam?
Al-Islam?
No.
Al-Islam?
No, al-Islam.
Oh, Lam.
Islam, yeah. But a zai, Islam.
Aslam.
Yeah.
في سؤالين.
Dude, can we finish the hadith first?
هم يتكلمون عن هذا
Huh.
الوسط وتحت مش الكبير مش الطويل
Oh.
الوسط وتحت.
Okay. Would the same concept apply to fortune cookies?
It's shirk.
Fortune cookies. Yeah.
Yeah, you just said it, fortune. Yeah, fortune. That's the kahan, right? So what would apply to that is what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, man ata kahinan fasaddaqu bima yaqulu faqad kafara bima unzila ala Muhammad. So the person that goes to the kahin, to the fortune teller, and believes what the fortune teller says, then he's disbelieved in what's been revealed to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And in another narration, man ata kahinan lam tuqbal salatuhu 40 yawman. And whoever goes to the kahin, even if he doesn't believe him, or her, most of the times it's a female. So even if he doesn't believe her, his salat is not accepted for 40 days. She's just going out of curiosity. Let me see what she's going to say. But so just you taking that fortune cookie, opening up and reading it, that could be a cause of you not getting your salat accepted for 40 days. And I would definitely avoid that.
He says, what about in basketball?
And you know what's funny about the fortune cookies is what? They don't exist in China. I mean, it's you know what I'm saying? They give them to you with the Chinese food, but the Chinese don't have fortune cookies. This is some stuff that they just made up in America. So it's not like, oh, well, we're just doing it because it's a part of Chinese culture. No, it's not. This is like, so it's even dumber because it has nothing to do with the food itself, and they're stale. And the cookies don't even taste that good. I mean, go get some Keeblers or something if you want some cookies, man. Yeah.
So it says, what about in basketball? If there is a dispute on a foul and they shoot the ball and they say ball doesn't lie.
That's the same thing. Who does the ball? Who's the ball? How's the ball gonna tell you the truth? You know. If you don't know, you don't know. The ball's gonna tell you. No.
Also, is that 8-ball toy kufr, and what should I do if my little sibling has this toy?
Take it and throw it in the garbage.
And my parent bought it for them.
Huh?
It says that my parent bought it for them.
Just take it when nobody's looking, throw it in the garbage, but throw it in some of your neighbor's garbage. So they can't see it. You don't want them digging around and then they find it and then it causes a fitna. You want to, just make it disappear. Just make it disappear.
Ustad, how does one deal with Muslim parents who are not upon the aqeedah and the manhaj of the salaf, and how do we call them to it? Keep in mind they are elderly and have some bid'i traditions. Advice.
Be patient. You just keep following the sunnah, inshallah, and having proper behavior. And that's da'wah, inshallah. Keep treating them righteous. Keep doing the things for them. Don't argue with them. Don't fight with them. Just give them advice. When you see an opportunity where they're like, because you know how parents are. They're like, especially as they get older. They get less tolerant, but there's like these windows of opportunity, right? Where you can see where they're like willing to listen to you, willing to talk. If you see that window, take advantage of it. Talk, advise them. But if you see that window closed and you start to see that, boy, you better get out of here. Stop. Just stop. Like leave it right there. Don't push it any further because you're not. They're old. Especially in the older age.
Stuck in their ways.
Yeah. Well, that's what even Zuhair, he mentioned that in a poem, which is one of the truthful things that the poet said. He said, إن سفاهة الشيخ لا حلم بعده وإن الفتاة بعد سفاهة يحلمي. So can anybody translate this?
Can you repeat it again?
He said, إن سفاهة الشيخ لا حلم بعده وإن الفتى بعد سفاهة يحلمي.
Like, indeed, after the foolishness of an old man,
If a man, if he's still foolish, if he's still acting foolish into his old age, like he's become a sheikh, his beard is white, and he's still acting foolish, what?
there's no forbearance for him.
There's nothing, there's no hope for him to change his ways. He's not going to become like Halim, which is like a person who's like, with good character and patience and good behavior. There's no hope for him, it's over. But he said, وَإِنَّ الْفَتَاءَ بَعْدَ سَفَاهَةِ يَحْلُمِ. But a young person, he could act stupid in his younger days, act foolish, and then وَيَحْلُمِ. After that, he starts to mature and he becomes better. All of us, who from amongst us, maybe not you, but all of us, we were all crazy and stupid when we were younger. But then as you grow up and you mature and you realize how dumb things are, but if you're all like, imagine, and we've spoken about this, like imagine you get like a 60-year-old dude, still like, what's up, cuz? I'm a crip this, I'm a crip that, and he's 60 years old and he's still smoking weed and still wearing his hat tilted to the side and still, you know what I'm saying? He's still driving like this, and he's like, dude, he's 60 now. That's how he's gonna die. He's gonna die on that because unless some super duper miracle happens, because people can change. But the thing is, at that age, people aren't willing to change, the majority of the people. So it's not, what Zuhair said is not like applicable to every person. People change. People change. Even at 60 years old, he could become a Muslim and he could read something that really affects his heart and change. What Zuhair said is truthful for most of the people, but it's not revelation from above the seven heavens, But just in general, yeah. That person's stuck on his ways at that age, it's over. It's over for him.
This Bab bin Walid al-Mushrik, Sheikh al-Albani graded it Sahih.
Oh, it's Sahih. It's Sahih. So there's no doubt about that. It's just some of the wordings outside, like if you see the wordings in Sahih Muslim, things like that, and it's because here it mentions the hadith is in Sahih Muslim in the chapter of book of Fada'il al-Sahaba. So when you go in Sahih Muslim, you see like different wordings of it, but it's the same. It's authentic. All right. Any questions about that one? That's it. I think that's the end of the hadith, right? So all right. So let's move on to Bulugh al-Maram, inshallah. We haven't been doing much in Bulugh al-Maram these days. All right. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. قال الحافظ ابن حجر رحمه الله في بلوغ المرام. All right, so we're on hadith number 980, which doesn't really help anybody out because the numbers are different. I'll read the hadith and you're just gonna have to keep up with it. Huh? What? What? طيب بسرعة. Because I want the people on the live stream to understand. When you see me looking to my right, what's over there on my right? It's that clock. So I'm like, so if I start looking at that a lot, then that means we gotta hurry up.
Instead, is knocking on wood or jinxing someone impermissible?
Next question. Of course it's impermissible.
We all know that.
I know you give me that. Ustad, this off topic, but I wanted to know if a disbeliever died, can we say he's being punished in his. Oh, let's skip this. Ibn Kathir alluded in the tafsir of. Is it. Could I just skip this stupid questions?
Oh, it's not.
Everybody
Don't say stupid questions. Just say it's maybe not pertaining to what we're talking about right now.
Because I remember you said one time, you were like, you said, because you make fun of those people who say there's no such thing as a stupid. You're like, yes, there is a stupid.
No, there are stupid questions, yeah, but I mean, there's not stupid questions in the deen, but there are stupid questions. When the people are asking to learn their deen, things that like they really need to know to practice the deen correctly, in that case, yeah, there's no stupid questions. But there are stupid questions in this world. That does exist. What's the next one?
Ibn Kathir alluded in the tafsir, I think, chapter 46, verse 15, regarding and he reaches 40 years. That had also been said that usually one will not change his ways once he reaches the age of 40.
Oh, he mentioned 40 years about the shukr for his parents. Because at that age, you've reached a complete manhood at 40 years old. So at that time, you should have matured and you should understand now all that your parents have done for you. So at that age, you should be even more, how can I say this, caring for them and respectful towards them, more than when you're in your youth, you know what I'm saying? You're not going to be doing that because you're not really you can't value what your parents have done for you. But by the time that you've reached 40 years of age and you're now a complete man, you've had children, you have children of your own, you have a wife, and now you actually sit there and watch what your wife has to do to take care of your children. And then you should have that, that age now you should have a better understanding. And if you haven't reached that understanding at that age, when are you going to reach it? So like if you haven't matured by 40 years old, you've hit 40 and you're still like lacking that maturity, which we see this a lot nowadays. It's like dude's 40 years old, man. He still got the mindset of a middle school kid, It's sad. But I mean, if you are 40 years old and you haven't matured, when? I mean, when are you going to mature? When are you going to grow up? So there's certain things that you can be patient with, from like a 9-year-old child, a 15-year-old child, 20-year-old young man, right? You can be patient with these things and just advise him and just know he might not listen to your advice now, but as he grows up, he'll remember it, Because I remember my father said a lot of things to me when I was growing up. I'm like, man, shut up. But then when I got older and I started growing up and maturing, I was like, man, my father was right. You believe it later on and you understand it because when you need experience, experience helps you to mature. But people, they get stuck in their ways and they don't want to grow up and grow out of that situation. So they're still stuck in that, like what I call that high school mentality. They're 40 years old, still dressing and going to the club, still doing this stupid stuff, like trying to be cool, trying to like get people to like them. Like, well, come on, man, it's high school. What is it? What is it? 40 years old? Are you concerned about that?
Acting like someone wants to fight him.
Oh, that's the gangster 40-year-old. But I'm talking about like, these other 40-year-olds that just like want to go and still act young, and be up in the club trying to show out and try to, show out for like, sitting there hanging out with a bunch of 22-year-olds. Ah, come on, man.
Question, Ustad, is swearing by the Quran permissible?
By the Quran.
Would it be permissible because, from the hadith, أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة?
Yeah, that's for the Kalam Allah. If you're talking about the Mus'haf, the actual Mus'haf itself, or the Quran, like the Kalam Allah.
That's all it says.
No, because that dua is the dua that Imam Ahmed he used to show that what? أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق, because he's doing a ta'awudh بكلمات الله. So what did he use that as dalil for? The Quran is not makhluk. The speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not makhluk. Because if the speech of Allah was makhluk, and that means it was separate. And because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what? Nothing about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is makhluk. Huwa al-khaliq, al-raziq, al-muhyi, al-mumit. You know what I'm saying? So none of his attributes are created. Nothing. So if you're saying that this attribute of kalam, the speech of Allah, is created, that means that the speech itself is another entity, it's another thing away from Allah, which is kufr. But the point is then the Prophet ﷺ said, "A'udhu bi kalimatillahi tamma." The Prophet sought refuge in the words of Allah. So if his words were another creation, and he sought refuge in the words of Allah, then what did that mean? He just committed shirk, which he didn't, because the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are not created. So that's what Imam Ahmad used that as evidence for. But as far as like doing halif, I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm trying to remember who does that anyways.
Egyptians.
No, dude, you talking about doing a halif on the Quran? Like putting your right hand on the Quran and then say, I wouldn't do the halif billah.
I swear by God.
Oh,
Is that what he's talking about?
the question literally says.
No, that's bid'ah anyways. I mean, look, the thing about it is you have al-halif. And then that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, لَيُعْطَى النَّاسَ لَا دَعْوَاهُمْ لَدَّعَاءَ رِجَالٌ أَمْوَالَ قَوْمٍ وَدِمَاءَهُمْ وَلَكِنَ الْبَيِّنَ عَلَى الْمُدَّعِ وَالْيَمِينَ عَلَى مَنْ أَنْكَرَ. Khalas. All right, so here the Prophet ﷺ said, if every single person were to be given his claim, right? Like whatever he claims against a person, like you know how these kuffar, they just go take you to court and sue you for anything, right? He said if everybody was to be given whatever he claims, he said, man, the people would claim all the money and the blood and wealth of every person. There would be nothing left for anybody. Because everybody would just, he took this from me, he took that. No, his daughter is really my daughter. And, it's like he'd just be claiming everything, right? So he said, then Islam gave the solution to this. The kuffar, they don't give the solution to this. Kuffar don't have solutions to problems. Their solution to the problem is to do what? Exacerbate the problem. Make the problem bigger and worse. That's their solution. Now, they'll bring a solution to a problem that causes a bigger problem, hey, you guys are sick, so let's give you medicine that's going to give you cancer and make you more sick, but at least it will get rid of the sickness that you're experiencing right now, but it's going to give you cancer, But anyway, so then after that he said what? وَلَكِنَ الْبَيِّنَ عَلَى الْمُدَّعِ. The person who makes the claim, he has to present the evidence to support his claim. وَالْيَمِينَ عَلَى مَنْ أَنْكَرَ. So if he's not able to bring any evidence, all he's got is, well, you have to take my word for it. No, we don't take your word for it. Where is your evidence? So if he doesn't have evidence and he's still saying that this claim is true, then the other person says what? Wallahi, I didn't do it. And then what happens? Did the Prophet ﷺ say, swear on the Mus'haf? Did he say, do this? No, he said, وَالْيَمِينَ عَلَى مَنْ أَنْكَرَ. And swear by Allah, him saying, Wallahi, I didn't do it. Khalas, that's sufficient. And then that's it. It's over. He doesn't get his claim until he provides the evidence. Once he provides the evidence, then khalas. And, if he provides the evidence, then the other person cannot just say, Wallahi, I didn't do it. He can say it, but it's not going to matter because this guy has evidence. And it depends on the evidence. If the evidence supports his claim, then he gets the right. It's for him. Even if this man says, Wallahi, I didn't do it 1,000 times, it doesn't matter because of the evidence is against him. But the Wallahi, saying like, Wallahi, I didn't do it, is only in the absence of al-bayyinah, evidence. Yeah.
Second question is that kissing one's parents or grandparents' hands and put it on one's forehead out of respect allowed?
You could do it, but I mean, that's your culture, that's your culture. I mean, if that's something that they like, if I did that to my mother, she'd slap me, Kissing my hand for, what are you? Maybe if I kissed her head or something like that, yeah, because they do that in Yemen. They'll go up and kiss their mother's head. I mean, if that's something that's known in the culture, to show there's nothing in Islam that prevents that. I mean, as far as like bowing down to them, kissing their knees and their feet and stuff like that, like a lot of that stuff came from the Sufi. And I wouldn't advise the people going up and kissing your mother's head, kissing her hand or something like that to show respect to her. Inshallah khair. All right, so the hadith, can we finally get to it now? عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا تزوج المرأة ولا تزوج المرأة نفسها رواه ابن ماجه ودار قطني ورجاله ثقات. So in this hadith, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he reported that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that a woman, all right, we're still talking about the wali, right? All right, so a woman cannot act as the wali for another woman. All right, the wali has to be, one of the conditions of the wali is what? It has to be a man. It has to be a male, a man who has reached reached the age of puberty. All right, so it can't just be any male. Like I said, he can't be a wali for anybody. It has to be reached the age of puberty. So, but it has to be a male. So he said a woman cannot marry off another woman, so she can't be the wali for another woman. وَلَا تَزَوِّجُ الْمَرْأَةُ نَفْسَهَا, and it's not permissible for her to marry her own self off without a wali. All right, and this of course is a refutation against the people who use the other hadith, what? The hadith that we took previously, وَلَيْسَ لِلْوَلِي, not that one. أَثَيِّبُ أَحَقُّ بِنَفْسِهَا مِنْ وَلِيِّهَا وَالْبِكْرُ تُسْتَعْمَرُ وَإِذْنُهَا سُكُوتُهَا. So some of the people, they use this hadith to say that the woman, she has more right to herself than her wali. But then they forget when they read this hadith that they say, focus on the wording of the hadith. أَحَقُّ بِنَفْسِهَا مِنْ وَلِيِّهَا. That she still has what? A wali. You know what I'm saying? But some people use this hadith as to show that the woman, and the only, I think, the one major person who is on the opinion that the woman, she can marry herself off is Abu Hanifa. Like that's his major, like you might see like other people that came throughout history with like maybe certain conditions, but he was like the one, as long as she knows what's good for her and she has like this type of miza, he says she can marry herself off. She doesn't need a wali. And then he, ignore all the other hadith about the wali. So, Allahumma musta'an. So, other than that, no. I mean, that's the condition of the marriage being valid in the first place is that the woman has to have a wali. And what is this that they keep using the word wakil? What did they use the word wakil for in English here? Because I keep hearing people saying this word wakil. You know what a wakil is?
Someone who's responsible?
No, a wakil is like, I'm the wali. This is my daughter. But right now I'm busy. I don't have time to like sit down and talk to this dude. So أنا أوكل الأمر إلى ابني الكبير. And I tell Mujahid or say for anybody, I say, look, man, take care of this. I'm busy, so I'm putting you in charge of this. So now he is a muwakkal, But I mean, this is the wakala is in this. This is when we use the word wakil, as in when he's acting on behalf of somebody else. But the wali himself, because they use this, for example, they say she doesn't have a wakil. When she doesn't, I don't know, man. I see a lot of people here in America using this terminology. I'm trying to find out where the person got it from.
First time heard it.
Check and see if maybe somebody types it in the comments or something. I don't know. But they use this a lot, like the wakil. And they say, for example, if she doesn't have a wali, like nobody in her family is Muslim, then the imam could be the wakil. No, the imam cannot be the wakil because he's not from her family. The wakil has to, for a person to be a wakil of the wali, it has to be what? No, it's somebody that can act as the wali on her behalf. So like I said, the father is the wali. Khalas. If he's too busy or he just doesn't want to be bothered with it, he can assign it to his brother, he can assign it to his father or his son or even her son. He could tell her son, look, go, you take care of this. You act on my behalf. But he's still the wali. The other person is now what? It's muwakkal fi hada. He's just now you say he's the wakil or whatever. He's acting on behalf of the wali. But the father's still the wali. He still has to go back. If the father disagrees with something, it still goes back to him in the end. But he's given this person the authority to act on his behalf. So I don't know where this terminology comes from, because even the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, for sultan, what? Waliyu man la waliya lahu. He didn't say what? Did he say wakil in the hadith? Check the hadith. No, about the sultan. For sultan, waliyun man la waliya lahu. Yeah, that's the hadith. There's no wakil. I don't remember that we read wakil in this whole chapter yet. So I don't know where this terminology comes from. I don't know where people keep saying this. Heard this before?
I ain't never heard of it.
I hear it a lot.
Walil?
A wakil.
Wakil?
Well, who's a wakil? Well, who's a wakil? No, I don't. I do. A wakil is a person who acts on the behalf of another person.
Oh,
So that's what I'm saying. The father can assign,
acting for the wali?
yeah, with his permission. All right. So la tazawwiju al-mar'atu al-mar'a. Well, obviously this is very, very, very clear. Why? Because the woman herself, what does she need? She needs a wali. She can't act without it. So see, the man, he can be a wali for a woman, but does he need a wali to get married? No. He can marry, he represents himself. He's a man. But the woman, she needs a wali. So how can now a woman who needs a wali become a wali for another woman? So it's already, yeah, exactly. So no, the woman, and even the Prophet ﷺ, he said this. He said in the hadith, he said, "La yuflihu qawmun yatawalla what? Amruhum imra'a." Yeah, imra'atun. Yeah. So he said, no, the people will not be successful who is put in control of their affairs. A woman is put in control of their affairs. They will not be successful. So a woman cannot have a walaya. Period. There's no walaya for her. She can't be the wali al-amr, and she can't be the wali of herself or for another person. All right. She has a role in Islam, and alhamdulillah, we respect the role of women, but stay in your place. A woman has her place, and her place is not in roles of leadership, of taking control of, that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, La yuflihu qawm. Like, they'll never be successful if the woman is in control of her affairs. Now, we're not talking about the control of the affairs of the house. Because obviously, the majority of houses, if the woman does not control the finances of the house, the man what? Like if my wife, she's not here now, but I'm saying, like, because she's not here, I take my money and I just buy books. I buy books. I see a book, I buy it. If my wife's here, I'd be too scared to do that. I'd be like, I used to sneak out the house, man. I used to walk out barefooted just so she thinks that I'm just walking outside, and I would walk to the bookstore barefooted just so she wouldn't know, and sneak the books back in the house and put them on the bookshelf before she woke up or before she got moving around. Because women are more focused on, we need this for the house, we need this for the house, so they kind of control like the finances. So we're not talking about that. In fact, if you want to be successful as a man, you might want to, sometimes, it's probably better to let the woman control, the affairs of the house, because that way she's the one that's going to be cooking the food and she knows what she needs, and, so those say, but we're talking about positions of leadership, like leader of a country, or taking on any role of being wali or walaya, because the walaya is like the wali al-amr. The wali al-amr is any person who what? Yatawalla al-amur an-nas. He takes authority over the people and controls their affairs. So that can't be a woman, because the woman, she's too, how can I say this without, like she is guided through her emotions. More than she's guided. Like you could go to a woman and tell her, Allah said this in the Quran. I'm not talking about all women, because alhamdulillah, a bunch of women, they follow the sunnah. But we're just talking about what? In general. That if you give her the dalil, if it doesn't agree with what's going on in her emotions at that time, it's not that she'll reject it, but she said, I don't know, oh, maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. You see, this type of response where, it's real, they're real emotion, and they're guided by emotions. So in this case, how are you going to have a person in control of the affairs of the people who's guided by emotions? Who you can sweet talk, and she can, like I remember like my grandmother, right? My grandmother, she loved my cousin. She hated everybody else. My cousin Akhi was the worst human being alive, but he knew how to what? Manipulate her and get money from her and do things like this, and my grandmother, she just fell for it. She's a woman, but we could all see it. Like we see what he's doing, right? But she couldn't, because why? Because he's got the smile. He's, all of these things that just like, you see the women, they look at the superficial things, right? But they're not looking at the reality. This dude's just like, hijacking your money. You don't even realize it. He doesn't care about you. If you ain't got no money, my cousin's going to be off to somebody else to manipulate somebody else. That's just what he's doing. So, but that's just how it is. So can you imagine now she's in charge? And my grandmother was a business owner. You know, but they had to take the business out of her hands because, she wasn't running it correctly. So my uncles were like, nah, you go stay at home. Here's your salary, stay at home. They did my grandmother like they used to do in Saudi Arabia. You know what they used to do, because they had to have like a certain number of Saudis working for the company. They used to pay them just to stay home. Don't come to work. We don't want you here. Just stay at home. We'll pay you. Just stay at home.
Nice. Being paid to stay home.
Yeah, because it's just like if she goes to work, she's like nitpicking and just doing woman stuff, right? Mother stuff, like because that's their kids, and they're not getting the job done. But then once my uncles took the business over, khalas, the business flourished, and she got her salary. She can go get her hair done every Friday. Khalas, she was happy. Khalas, that's
The question says, is it okay to donate to masjid which is not upon clear manhaj, if it is from the only masjids near me and there aren't many masajid here in Canada compared to other places? Question.
What do they mean? They're not on a clear. They're not on the sunnah.
It says which is not upon clear manhaj. That's the
I
word.
mean, that is not even clear. What is a clear minhaj?
I think, wallahu alam.
First off, we have an aqidah. All right, the minhaj is the way that we deal with the people who don't have the correct aqidah. First off, the minhaj is one thing. The aqidah is when we talk about they don't have the correct aqidah. So let's start with that. I'm assuming that's what the person means. That the aqidah of these people is not the aqidah of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. All right, so when all of these people wrote these books like Al-Lalaka'i, Al-Ajuri, and all this, what were they writing in the books about? The aqidah of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. They write the books titled Minhaj Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. The minhaj is how you deal with these people. All right, how are we going to deal with them? So I don't know. I don't understand when the people say like they don't have the correct minhaj. The correct minhaj of doing what? The correct aqidah. The aqidah is not the aqidah of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And no, it's not permissible for you to give them money if they're not calling to the sunnah, because that's a ta'awan ala ithmi wal udwan. That you're supporting them in sin and transgression. And so that's not permissible. Give your money to people of the sunnah, to support the sunnah. If you can't find those people in your area, send your money to students of knowledge overseas. They need it. I mean, if I can tell you 100% with surety, the majority, if you find a serious student of knowledge and you send him money, he's going to take your money and he's going to buy books with it. And he's going to sit down and use those books for research and reading and things like that, and then you benefit, and that's the type of sadaqah that you want to give. But as far as giving your money to people who are not going to call to the sunnah, no. It's better just to keep the money. Give that money to your mother or give it to somebody else. But I preferably give it to a student of knowledge. Find a student of knowledge overseas, send the money to that person so that person can benefit. All right. So the woman cannot marry another woman. All right. That's that. And she cannot marry herself. So that's clear, right? The next hadith, we'll read one more hadith, inshallah. And then وأن نافع عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما قال نهى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الشغار والشغار أن يزوج رجل ابنته على أن يزوجه الآخر ابنته وليس بينهما صداق متفق عليه واتفق من وجه آخر على أن تفسير الشغار من كلام نافع. All right, so this is reported on Nafi' and Ibn Umar رضي الله عنهما, which the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prohibited ash-shighar. And then he mentioned at the last part of the hadith that this is the hadith. But the last part, the definition and the explanation of shighar actually came from Imam al-Nafi'. All right, Imam al-Nafi' is the Mawla of Ibn Umar. So he's also the Sheikh of who? Malik ibn Anas, yes. And that's one of the strongest chains of narration. Malik and Nafi' and Ibn Umar radiyallahu anhum. Yeah, it's from the Silsilat al-Dhahabiyya. Yeah. All right. So the shighar is that, okay, you have two brothers, right? And they both have a daughter. So you agree. So like, I have a daughter, Robert has a daughter, for example. And I go up to Robert and I say, look, I'll marry you my daughter with the condition that you marry me your daughter. And that's it. There's no mahar. There's no dowry between them. And this is called a shigar, and this is prohibited, and this marriage is not, and is not valid. All right, why? Why is this not valid? One of the conditions of marriage is what? It's a dowry, it's a mahar. The mahar is a condition. You cannot, and we learned that from which hadith? All right, which one? ابحث ولو وش ولو خاتما من حديد. When he told the man to go even just find even a middle ring or something to give to her, because if he had nothing, but the Prophet ﷺ would not let him marry her without giving her something. So the marriage did not happen until he asked him at the final. What was the final thing that happened? He said what? Ma ma'aka min al-Quran. So what do you have from the Quran? And he said, Indi surah kada wa surah kada. Wa'addaha. You know, and then he mentioned the surahs that he knows. He said, you know, hal taqra'uha an dhahr al-qalb. Do you read them from your memory, you know, directly from your heart without having to look? He said, nah. He said, what? And then what did he say? Idhab. Oh, okay. Idhab and talaq, same thing. انطلق فقد زوجتكها أو ملكتكها بما معك من القرآن. Right.
فقد زوجتكها فعلمها من القرآن. وفي رواية للبخاري أمكناكها بما معك من القرآن.
Yeah. Okay. So go. I've married you to her based with what you have from the Quran. So go teach her. Teach. Yeah. So that was the mahar. But the point is that the mahar is the dowry is a condition of the salat, of the validity of the salat. So if there's no mahar, and in this case in the shigar of me marrying him, my daughter, him marrying his daughter, and then there's no dowry between us. We just say it's offset because you took one and I took one. So that's it. We're even Steven, right? No. So what has to happen is to make this valid is what? I go to you and I say, I want to marry your daughter. We agree on a mahar. And here's the mahar. We get married. You come to me and say, now I want to marry your daughter. And we agree on the mahar. Here's the mahar. There you go. And now the marriage is valid. But to do the shigar, to say that, no, you take mine, I take yours, and khalas, we're even. No, it has to have a dowry.
But this question is pertaining to that class. Ustad, could you please offer advice for sisters who want to get married, yet are hesitant to actively seek a potential spouse or others of their intention? Is it considered wishful thinking if they rely solely on making dua and performing good deeds without taking the asbab dunya-wise?
And the dunya is the dua is the biggest asbab. So I don't know what type of wishful thinking. If you're making dua, but obviously there has to be some action, you know. But I mean, you still got to act within the confines of the deen, in the Quran and the Sunnah, what's acceptable. You can't just run around getting on social media, presenting yourself, and oh, hey, you want to get married? You know, obviously, I'm pretty sure that whoever's asking this question is not going to do that. But I'm just saying, like, there has to be the correct manners of doing it. But I mean, the dua is definitely from the biggest asbab. I mean, I've never ever made dua for something that I really, really, really needed, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I mean, it came to me, and I didn't have to even go out and search for it. You know, so Allahumma musta'an.
Also, another question, something pertaining to what you said. What would happen if a woman becomes a leader? This happened, unfortunately, in the Delhi Sultanate, Razia Sultan, and around 1250 in Egypt. Must we obey a ruler who's a woman?
Well, that's a good question.
So I was like, oh yeah.
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm not going to answer that. As far as the obedience, if she's a Muslim woman and she took control of the country, Allah A'lam.
But wouldn't her leadership be valid? Wouldn't be a valid ruler?
Do you think it's going to come to that?
What?
For a woman.
A woman being a ruler? I mean, every place that a woman's controlled the country's been destroyed. Because think about it. Look, the real power of a country, you think it's the president? No, it's who controls the guns and the weapons and the militaries and yeah. So it's just like, we used to say, I used to tell this to the students in 2011 when we were in Yemen and they started doing all that protesting in Yemen. I was like, y'all are stupid. Y'all going out there protesting and protesting and protesting. What are you going to do? Well, we're trying to let the people hear our voice. The voice is going to be heard by the person who's got the biggest guns in the end. And those are going to be the people that are going to take over your so-called revolution, and they're going to be the people that get control, and you're going to be washed out. And that's exactly what happened to the people. The who came in, the big tribes came in, and they took over their so-called revolution because they got the guns. So now you got some woman in power who think that she's got power. Man, please. You think the military dudes and all that are going to sit there and just bow down and cower to her? So then what happens is then, if she starts trying to put in policies in place that people don't agree with, let a woman control Yemen and see what happens to her. How many presidents over the last 50 years got killed in Yemen? I mean, subhanAllah, go read. They assassinated Hamdi, akhi. They killed his brother first. Then they called him and let him know, hey, your brother's dead. You're next. And he's the president of Yemen, akhi. Because those dudes got guns, man, and they don't want you there. You're not going to be there. What's a woman going to do in that type of situation? She's going to have to go run to who? To the men. Oh, please protect me, please protect me, please protect me. But you're the leader of the country. You shouldn't be in that place, and you shouldn't be in that place in the first place. You shouldn't have taken that job, that role in the first place. Because what is a woman going to do? I don't believe all this G.I. Jane garbage that, the media shows a woman. He's like, nah, man, those bullets start flying, man. I've never seen, you might get one of those outliers, the woman that she's like Mrs. Commando girl, you might get one of those, but they're very, very, very rare. Very, very rare. Majority of women, boy, those bullets start flying. The first thing you hear is when bullets start flying is what? Screams of women. I knew like a lot of the times in Yemen that people were shooting because I could hear the screams of the woman before I heard the bullets. Yeah.
My question was, is the raiding and taking of captives of the Kremlin hunting and Barbary pirates legitimate warfare in Islam? Not now, but in the past, was this correct?
I don't even understand the question.
Me neither.
And what does it have to do with marriage? Save that question for Friday, inshallah.
Yeah, this question is not pertaining to marriage.
Yeah, right now we're going to only answer on these days the questions that pertain to the class. But all those other questions, inshallah, you can put them up. And if there's a valid question, you write, bring a notebook or something with you and write the question down in the notebook. Take a screenshot or something. And we can answer those questions on Friday, inshallah. All right.
That was the second hadith.
Yeah, that's it, inshallah. We'll stop. Because this issue right here is going to take a lot of explaining, inshallah. وإلهنا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك